And the time for talk is over here on the GladrapChannel. ABA Stadium, the ANZAC Super Series main event of the evening. David Nyika in a rematch against Brandon Rees from Australia.
Once again, I want to thank our Australian cousins all over the ditch for making their way over here and competing in this tournament. And thank you for the very successful tournament as we always do. So without further ado, first of all, introducing the red corner. This man, bringing each number two punches. He has 2 times back-to-back double gold medalists. He has been formidable against every opponent that has encountered in his career. And it gives me great pleasure to stand here and say that I have witnessed a good 90% of this man's achievements. He is also sponsored by ANZAC New Zealand and New Zealand Trust Limited. So we go to none of those guys for supporting this young man in his career. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you, fighting out of the red corner, the one, the only, David Nyika.
And here he comes, makes his way to ringside, double Commonwealth Games gold medalist. To be honest, he was extremely hard done by not to make the Olympics. It's the machinations of international decision making, to be honest. And he is the standout performer in the New Zealand high performance boxing team. And Patrick, one of the things about David that's impressive is he's actually gone up weight. His second gold medal in the heavyweight ranks, and that's not an easy thing to do, particularly carrying the extra weight and adjusting to the extra power and difference in frame.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in camp with David for a few years now, yeah, I've seen him grow from the weight division that he was, 81, up to heavyweight, and he's done it well. You know, he's taken his time and he's built the right muscle mass, and now he's a full-grown heavyweight, and he's putting guys down. So tonight will be an exciting show.
Well, if you have a look at the Australian Brandon Rees, he is the opposite from Nyika. He looks clean cut, like butter wouldn't melt in his mouth. Imposing frame, very long, very tall, at over 6'3". No jiggle, no excess muscle, doesn't look overly bulky. Brandon Rees, hair cropped very short, tattoos on both shoulders. And you can guarantee one thing, he will come to fight. As we're awaiting the bout to get underway, just a big thank you to our sponsors, Athena Engineering and Dempsey Wood Civil. There's Athena Electrical Engineering and Dempsey Wood, and they have dipped into their pockets so we can have this superb display of amateur boxing here. Amateur boxing at its best. Australia versus New Zealand, and this is world class. David Nyika, double Commonwealth Games gold medalist. A prodigious talent and still so young. Brandon Rees, this is a rematch. He sustained an arm injury when they fought last, so he has a huge point to prove. And of course, he's an Aussie, and he automatically comes with a chip on his shoulder.
Well put, Mike. You know, we've seen some interesting matchups tonight. This is definitely stacked and worthy of a main. Let's not forget this Aussie, you know, he's a former youth national champ. He's won a few Super 8s, and the last fight, like you said, was stopped by an arm injury, so he'll be looking out for vengeance, he'll be out for blood, but is he going to be able to take that away from Nyika today?
It's a warm night here at the ABA Stadium. It's been a pretty humid day, but I noticed neither guy has a sweat up yet, and you don't want to be sitting around and getting cold. Had too much of a delay, Patrick, because getting hit cold, particularly at heavyweight, ain't a good thing. You want to be straight into your work.
Yeah, you really do, and especially in the amateurs, there's not a lot of room for a warm up round in there.
Well, when you watch the professionals come in, you'll see them come in. They'll have their jackets. They'll be wrapped up. They will be trying to retain the heat in their bodies. The muscles will be supple and having that light sweat, so that they're straight into work. 3 by 3 minute rounds.
I think these boys are willing to go.
Just getting the formalities out of the way, Isaac. We've always got to thank our sponsors, the people who are responsible for putting these events on, helping us get this high quality boxing onto TV screens.
You're right, Mike. And look, these like you said earlier, Pat, both these boys are ready to rock and roll. We're just waiting for a few formalities now. I'm really, really excited about this, and I know you guys are too, because we've seen Nyika around the world. Usually competes overseas, but we're lucky to have him right in front of us right now. You've probably done a few rounds with him too, haven't you, Pat?
Yeah, well, like you said, him and I have been in camps for years and years, and I have done a lot of rounds with Dave. So it's, as his teammate, I'm excited for him to see what he's doing. He's actually had the option to go pro after the back-to-back gold, but he's chosen to stay and pursue his Olympic dream. So as his mate, man, I'm rooting for him. And
I'd be interested to see how that sparring goes. Do you hold him there just to keep him from moving?
No, we do well. I got a good eyesight. Dave moves well. So again, it just comes down to guessing where he's gonna be instead of hitting where he is.
Yeah,
I'd pay to watch that.
Well, that's experience too. Patrick Mailata here, of course, he's Commonwealth Games medalist as well, about to make his professional debut. Talking about punching where you need to be, trying to set traps and trying to make your opponent move to where you want them. And with an elusive guy like David Nyika, that's pretty critical.
Exactly. He's not an easy guy to put on a track.
I still go back to hit and hold, go for the double leg.
I'm going to say, Mike, with you training a lot of fighters down at City Kickboxing, do you still get in there and do a few rounds, or you're more so on the pad? You probably wouldn't want to get in with some of those guys, but you still jump in now and then?
Yeah, no, I sparred about 8 rounds this morning. I immediately regretted it after the first round, but you got to keep going. Old boxers never die. And we are underway. This is our main event of the evening. David Nyika, the heavy favourite in this bout. He's the taller of the two. Brandon Rees from Australia in the blue, slapping with the overhand right. Nyika just throwing a sharp right hand, but no sting on it. Just trying to find range, both these boys at this point. Very orthodox approach you will find from Brandon Rees. Looking to go upstairs, downstairs, bring the left hook over the top after going downstairs with the right hand. And David Nyika, he's very much a riddle that needs to be solved. He switch hits, he check hooks a lot to create angles, and he is very, very fast.
That was a very sharp right hand by David Nyika.
Well, that's reminiscent of the kind of right hands that Muhammad Ali used to throw. They're just fast and sharp, not full of power, but it was all about timing and speed. That was a heavy right hand that rocked him badly.
I was just about to give the Aussie boy a bit of praise for the distance he was doing, but Nyika came through and landed one right on the button.
I give him heart.
Well, that was
tough Aussie. He's not gonna lay down. He's coming in.
Yeah, but he was certainly hurt by that shot. I bet you he's pleased that he's got the amateur Green Hill boxing gloves on and not the Everlast Mexican style punching gloves that you'll see in the professionals. Bit more forgiving, the amateur gloves.
Rees is to land a few of those uppercuts. Every now and then he pops onto the breadbasket, but still, those jabs from Nyika are really finding their home.
Well, he's not really out of first gear yet. Just chopping and changing. And you'll see it often looks to the inexperienced eye like he might have been tagged, but he rolls a lot of shots. He just moves his head subtly, half a centimetre. And there again, that was a straight left uppercut. Rees has been tagged on a couple of occasions, and it looks like Nyika can hurt him. Switching to southpaw, then chopping and changing back. What's the formula, Patrick, when you're working with a skilled switch hitter like this? How do you try and combat that? Because it does change up your angles a lot.
I mean, you gotta adapt to a fighter like Dave. You know, you've got to try. It's as hard as it may seem. You try and find a pattern that David does. But you know, like I said, you know, it's very hard to see that. Dave is switching. Dave is throwing awkward shots, and the Aussie's got his work cut out for him tonight.
Well, David Nyika really looks like he's barely out of first gear. Landed a couple of heavy shots, which visibly rocked Brandon Rees. Rees, though, he is tough. He continues to walk forward, looking to set his feet and fire two-fisted volleys. And ANZAC, it's probably pretty clear on the judges' cards, but a typical tough Aussie in front of him.
Look, as you've just noted on, David Nyika's not a guy that you can just throw punches and bunches in and win the fight, like what Brendan Rees is trying to do in that round. I mean, the pace, the way he's moving, it's just Nyika looks like he's on fire at the moment. And we talk about the pace of the fights earlier. They're going out guns blazing, but this is a bit more composed, Pat. These guys are taking their time, even though it is still a 3x3 3-minute rounder.
You know, it's a boxing match, you know, and boxing is a game of chess, and that's exactly what you're seeing here tonight. The Aussie definitely is aware of what Dave brings, and Dave's style is he's a sniper. So
you also got to remember it's the heavyweight ranks, so that the speed will drop because the power quotient is up a lot higher. You can't afford to make mistakes at heavyweight. They just hit so much harder, and the lights can go out very, very easily, regardless of whether it's amateur or professional boxing. Heavyweights, the bigger they are, the harder they hit.
Nice shot there from the Aussie on Nyika, but I don't think it did too much.
Nice little work from Nyika, just chipping away on the inside. I wouldn't call them rabbit punches, but just chopping away, taking what he can get as he looks to get the hands free.
He's sneaking those shots into the body and the inside, and you know that does do a number on the fighter.
Well, they're very debilitating as the round goes on too. The first one doesn't hurt, but by the time you get 3 or 4, you're starting to feel the gas coming out of the tank. I mean, Nyika looks pretty good, but I have to say I've seen him sharper.
I mean, this Aussie's not coming to play. He's coming to win.
Oh, he's definitely, look, he's a very orthodox kind of fighter, but he's not perturbed at all. He's tough. He's walking forward. He is not going to allow the Kiwi any room to breathe. Slapping shot off the temple. Nyika doing a good job of freeing his hands in the clinch. That's where I'd expect Rees to go to work more when he gets on the inside, but it seems as if so far it's been Nyika who's done the better work.
Big shot,
Good shot, that one.
It's more of a slapping shot though, and you see the referee called it there. That one was better, turned the knuckles over. Another body shot around the floating rib region. Sharp right hand, uppercut on the inside as well from the Kiwi. Counter right hand from the Australian, deflected mostly on the gloves. I'd like to see Nyika look to come up the middle when he gets the gloves on the outside. There he did with the left uppercut. The Aussie's got a tight guard. It's pretty conventional. But I think the uppercut's there. Oh, good right hand there. Caught him pausing in the mid-range.
Bit of a rough and tumble style here too from the Aussie. You know, obviously Nyika's the crisper, the lighter of the two. He's much cleaner, but this aggressive rough and tumble style is, you know, he's finding the odd shot in there.
He is, and they're not light shots. He's throwing with bad intentions.
Yeah, he looks like a typically heavy-boned kind of fighter. Big joints, Look at his elbow joints, pretty solid. There was some interesting work there. Rees took one on the way in and continued to pressure the Kiwi. Another one in the cards. Again, David Nyika looks as if he's well ahead on the cards, but Brandon Rees keeping him honest. Landed a couple of very good right hands as he continued to press the action.
Couldn't have put it better myself, this Rees, he's going at a bit of a different pace, but he's got that aggressive, that rough and tumble style, and he is keeping him on his feet, keeping Nyika have his wits about him. He can't get too lazy, drop that guard.
Dave's got to be careful now, the Australian guy is really finding his rhythm now, and towards the end of that second round, he's finding holes, so it'll be interesting how the third round goes.
I think one of the important things here is he needs some tough rounds, though. He's heading into the international season. He has Olympic aspirations, so he needs these rounds to sustain the pressure and continue to improve his game. Round 3 underway. Brandon Rees just finding his mark. Speared on the end of the jab on the way in there. Lead right hand from Nyika. Rees, though, starting to move his head a little better, landing a stiff jab. Just getting caught a couple of times in that mid-range as he pulls out. Rees using his toughness to look for that counter shot. He's finding a home for that right hand on most occasions. Good variation. Body shot there, and that one hurt Rees. Good punch variation, good punch selection. And he knows he hurt him. That little second phase that he does, he switches back to southpaw.
It's beautiful to watch, isn't it, Mike? Go to the body, go to the head. Once he starts covering it, he'd go back to the body, and it's starting to work, starting to take effect on Rees.
He's very much in control. He's still a little upright, though. It's been a feature of his game, David Nyika. He can be a little bit upright at times. And there was one just a little south of the border. Counter right hand, and another one. Brandon Rees taking a lot of punishment now. Well, if it looked like the Aussie was starting to find his mark at the end of the second, David Nyika has put that well and truly to bed. He's hurt him to the body. He's landed upstairs, downstairs.
Dave needs to give himself a little bit of room to work.
Yeah, very good observation there from Patrick Mailata. Just cramping himself. Because he's got very long arms, of course, and he just doesn't quite have the leverage in tight that the Aussie will have, being having the shorter limbs. Heavy right hand again. Claret coming out of Rees' nose. Uppercuts there. He's got his hand on the inside. Referee just coming in to break them. Less than 15 seconds to go in the round. Just he needs a little more speed on that right hand if he's going to use that to set up the left hook.
10-second clap.
Right on cue. Very comprehensive performance from David Nyika. I have no doubt he should take that decision. Brave performance from Brandon Rees. Took a lot of big shots. He is not a man that is easy to turn back. And a very, very solid main event to finish up on what's been a very, very good day of international and national amateur boxing, Isaac.
Yeah, look, like you said earlier, Rees did not make it easy for Nyika. Nyika will probably come away with the win there, and every single fight today has been so well matched. It's been a pleasure commentating for yourself, Mike and Pat.
For me, the Aussies really turned up. especially than the main event. You know, that was an exciting part to watch. You know, you caught her head going either way, I feel.
Well, let's await the scores.
Going to be red corner,
Well, it was a workmanlike day at the office for David Nyika, the double gold medalist, up against Australian at number 2, Brandon Rees. And solid performance. And Patrick, those are the rounds he needs as he starts to look into the international competition.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see where the goes from next. You know, the WSB season's coming up, and it'll be good to see if Dave gets back into the camp that we were last in, and see how well he goes there again. I mean, he's been successful there. He's unbeaten in the WSB, so it'll be good to see him what he does next.
Let's take a listen in and see what our champion has to say. Well, there we go. David Nyika goes home a comprehensive winner, and that brings an end to our coverage here at the GladrapChannel. It's been a superb ANZAC Super Series. It has been the 6th edition here at the ABA Stadium. Big thanks to our sponsors, Dempsey Wood Engineering, and of course Athena Electrical Engineering. It's been a great privilege to work with Isaac Savage, GladrapChannel's main man, and of course Patrick Mailata, New Zealand's newest heavyweight.
Thanks, team.